In the end, it took less than 30 years for the world as we know it to fall. 95% of the population died. There were a litany of causes, not that it mattered in the end. Our infrastructure failed, and with no electricity, our communications, lights, and internet failed too. There weren't even enough survivors left to tend the fields and care for the remaining livestock, as if any of us had any of the necessary skills. Those few of us who remained barricaded ourselves into makeshift fortresses, although we had no idea what we thought we were hiding from. To paraphrase that ass T.S. Eliot, not with a bang, but with a whimper, the world ended. Almost. In the late 2050s, the builders ended the crisis by combining biology, precision mechanics, and thermohydraulics to make constructs from the dead, human and otherwise. These automatons took up all the necessary repetitive tasks that keep us alive. The constructs follow algorithms and programmable, mindless cycles. The dead of all species have taken the place of slaves, and like those slaves, they have become the basis on which our recovery and our economy grow. They are everywhere. As humans, we have lost almost everything. But we do have what humanity has always had. We have hope.
Close these windows.
Oh, hello. This is Dirty 20 Gaming. My name is Kevin, and two of my friends have agreed to join me tonight to play a wonderful and silly game, and that makes me very happy. So, let's get to the people right away. Bison underscore Stonefist, tell us about your own self and where we can find you.
Well, my own self is generally here. You can find me on Wednesday nights. I'll be playing Linus Longshadow in the new, freshly revamped Lost Mines of Fandelver. We'll be playing, I believe it's Shadow of the Dragon Queen. I think that's what it's called. Sudden
Dragonlance,
Heroes.
yeah. Sudden Heroes is our title for the
Same
series.
heroes, level 1. It'll be great.
Bamfed back into, yeah, it's going to be bizarre, especially for those folks that have watched the Lost Mines. Tune into this. You're going to get to see something that doesn't happen very often in games. A reset and a chance to start over with the full memories of the character from before. So tune in to check that out. It's going to be really, really cool to see how they deal with that. But until then, let's cut across. Over to you heard the camera come, did you? Good. Wayward Knight.
It's me.
Hey.
Hi. You can usually find me, like Bison said, like here a lot. I'm on our Discord like 24/7. I'm also a Detroit-based artist and actor. Support your local and small artists. You can find me selling my art on the internet here. It does need an update, which I should really do really soon. But other than that, I am also going to be DMing our new Grave New World Buffy the Vampire Slayer TTRPG, which is streaming on Mondays, same time, same bat time, same bat channel.
Starting on the
Same bat tile.
27th.
Starting on the 27th, yes.
1 week from this upcoming Monday for those of you who
And
So
are
you
same
have
bat
a
tile.
week to watch the tutorial and catch up on how
Yes.
how the game runs.
Yes.
That's me.
Speaking of that tutorial and other tutorials, quick shout out to Thunderscape 7, our artist in residence for most of the thumbnails that go out, as well as overlay art and all kinds of goodies, including some really cool stuff that they found for the upcoming Buffy show. So stay tuned. With that, We are using Roll20 tonight as our virtual tabletop of choice, and the art you saw in the intro was from Pixabay, altered wonderfully by myself and the previously mentioned Thunder Escape 7. And also the character art there and here is provided by Hero Forge. Hello, D20 Thoughts. Good to see you. One of those. That's me being a ping. I say ping because they say they prefer being called a ping tuber than a PNG tuber, and I think that's awesome. So I'm a ping. Yes. So I'm stealing that. I hope you don't mind. Let's get to this game. We're playing Necrobiotics. So you guys just had a night's rest. So you have, and you also did some levely uppy stuff. So you have the option right now, before we even start, as you wake up in the morning, to go through your current hand, keep anything that you want that's in that hand, fling the rest of it, and shuffle the deck completely. Because you're at a new level, we're gonna do that. Shuffle your entire deck except for the cards that you choose to keep, and then draw up to a full hand of 6. I don't think either one of you have got 7. I don't think either one of you took that ability.
No, we didn't take kings.
No.
I'm okay because the one card I want to get rid of has boobies on it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, just keep that all night. Yeah, just don't use it. What's that card? Inspiration. All right.
The nips are covered. Don't worry.
Well, you probably sand them off later, but never mind. Boys are just looking down, going, "He'll be done soon. I'm just gonna pick some cards and wait till he shuts up."
No, I'm crap at shuffling, so I'm just doing the grab a couple cards and throw it at my hand.
All right, excellent. Either way, by the time you get to 6 cards, we'll get to someplace where you can actually use them.
Yep.
The two of you awaken in the morning to find messages delivered overnight by the some of the constructs. It's from Artemis. Each one of you gets one. It says, and it's in very shaky handwriting, like they're extremely tired. It says, "Busy babysitting. Both of them are stressful. Don't expect COS. A. Yeah, don't expect C, and signed A." And those are waiting for you when you wake up in the morning. So before we start the actual day, let's start the day. I like this. We did this before, and I really like this. So let's start with Delilah.
Okay.
You wake up this morning, and it's one of those, like yesterday and the day before yesterday and this whole sort of week. When you look out the window, is the world different? Are you different?
Yeah, exactly. Technically the world hasn't changed yet, but Delilah's worldview has certainly been shifting.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, because she had a crazy night last night.
Yep.
She wakes up and she's got one of those ridiculous hangovers from when you cry a lot.
Yep.
So she heads to the bathroom and takes a shower, trying to make herself feel better, and then she comes out in her big fluffy robe and then looks out her giant window onto the sort of Riviera bit that she is above. And she sees the constructs going about their work, sweeping the streets, and normally she would have just been like, "Oh, there's the constructs. Maybe I built that one." But now she's looking at them going, what would happen if we added some of those micro pneumatics to them? And also sort of thinking like an idea sort of forms in her head that like flesh decays even when it's been embalmed and preserved, it still decays. So like constructs get built and then constructs fall apart.
Yes. That's why there's always a need for more.
Mm-hmm. So she thinks about Verité's little automaton thing and she goes, why aren't we building things out of something that lasts longer? Um, like she knows that there's still kind of a shortage of like materials and stuff, but she was also just told that they've been lied to about the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So what other lies have been, pumped through society? She doesn't think it's pumped through her yet.
Yep.
What other lies have been pumped through society?
Well,
So,
as all three of those thoughts are swirling, you're looking down and you can see mostly constructs. It's early in the morning. But up on the wall, you mentioned looking out over the Riviera, the
mhm.
river itself in front of you. You can see a person standing on the wall, very slowly and solemnly throwing one flower at a time out into the river. And the flowers land and go that way, but their eyes land and go that way.
How tall is the wall?
Um, the overall wall. This is just the regular city wall, so it's about
Mhm.
7 meters, a little over 20 feet.
Okay.
And then there's there's a parapet around it. It used to be a defensive wall, but it's been ornamental for
Yeah.
ages. But then it was defensive again, except there's nothing to defend again, so maybe it wasn't. But yeah,
Um,
yeah, the current goes that way. And I'm actually going to bring up the map briefly. If you have a look, bam, should do it on there. Oops, no, that's the cards. Wrong page. Quickly, quickly. Piff. There we go. The city, if you guys have a look at the city, uh, they're standing on this outside wall somewhere. You can see them from wherever you are. I don't, doesn't really matter. The river on this map flows to the left.
to the left.
They're
Okay.
looking to the right. They're looking upriver this way as though the flowers were floating that way.
I mean, first thing Delilah kind of instinctively does is look upriver.
Mm-hmm. Um, you hear the phrase, things you weren't told about, things you weren't told about, things you weren't told about. How many? Jesus, what's the stat for doubt?
That sounds like a mind thing.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
mental
I think
thing.
that's, yeah.
Either flesh or
Um,
steel or steam. I
Flesh
think
or
flesh.
steam, empathy, firmness,
Well, that's it depends. Which
or
does she have
readiness.
more of?
Yeah, exactly. Do you have, at the moment, do you have more clubs or hearts in your hand?
Hearts.
Okay, and how many of them do you have?
3.
Three. Okay. Um, what you don't know, what you don't know, what you don't know, the port. There used to be a port there and it was walled off. It's outside the walls. It's inside the walls, but it's also inside its own walls, inside those walls. And nobody talks about the port. And yet, Verite asked you to go there. He wants you to go
Okay.
there to steal the ore sample, to liberate the ore samples. Coas had this conversation. So, yeah, to liberate the ore samples from the assay office. So that he can decide what works best with the copper in the batteries to make them work.
I have a joke for that, but we're gonna have to wait.
um, so she didn't expect her cogs to be turning this early in the morning. But But now she's filled with all of these ponderings before she's even started her work day. Um, she she goes downstairs, makes herself some breakfast, um, and just kind of tries to have a normal morning.
Yep.
As much as she can, because again, normalcy is still something she's not willing to let go of yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Up until
so
2 days ago, the world made sense.
yeah, and now her world is spinning, and she is trying to sort of grab hold of something. Um,
Luckily, eggs are still eggs, and they
yeah,
still taste better with a little bit of milk in them and a little bit of butter. Yeah.
butter for sure. Um, um, some coffee, you know, reading what passes for the Florence newspaper. Um,
First time somebody's mentioned it. We have one. Well, technically, it's a bulletin board, but we're going to do it in a broadsheet format. It is not an official publication. That would be frippery. Like you're still on the edge of surviving, right? It would be bad form for the powers that be to be wasting time doing
yeah.
newspapers in a city that never changes, right?
Hmm.
But somebody does. Nobody's quite knows who it is. They just sort of show up in public places in little piles with rocks on them, and you can take one if you want. And what you find if you go now to bulletin board, I don't know how well it's going to be pretty small screen for those of us, for those watching on stream, but I will very quickly read them. You notice it's always in this format. There's articles and responses. So whoever's making this paper is doing editorial responses as well. So, for example, the first one, the headline is for the third season running, ergot has been found in significant quantities in our rye crop. Wash your rye well before using it, inspect it visually if possible, and watch for the symptoms of ergot exposure in family and friends. And the comment is ergot in the rye again? Something must be done. We'll never move forward as long as half of us are hallucinating. The second one is avalanche and I can hardly read my own writing, or I can hardly read my own screen. Avalanche and smoke. I used that small first letter. Yeah, it's confusing. Never mind. Avalanche and smoke reported in the scrap. Well, you guys know all about that one. But the all too familiar tremble yesterday marked another tech slide in the scrap. Wisps of steam and smoke were seen afterwards, and some claim to have seen flickering flames. We weren't paying much attention because there was a lot of flickering flames and most of the mountain came down. But the comment, another tech launch. The answer is obvious. We must get rid of the hazard that is the scrap. Perhaps if it were to have it all shoveled into the river, slowly, of course, so it had time to wash downstream.
Oh boy.
And then
They
the
kind of
third,
do that in Cyberpunk.
and then the third one, motorized mayhem or mostly myth. Several reports have been made of the militia and the military of steam-powered vehicles full of maniacs stealing, burning, and destroying all in their paths. Some reports put the miscreants as close as 1 day's travel from our fair city. It's basically Mad Max out there. But the comment is, motorized maniacs, delusion. The roads are in ruins, steam-powered vehicles are slow and time-limited and have limited range. Besides, all the mad people are long dead. And then weirdly, stuck on the bottom, like somebody chucked it in there just before it went in the printer, there's a little note written on a bit of paper. You can see it's almost like it's pressed into the printing block. And it says, please help me find my dog. Can somebody else read that? It's too small for me to see without my glasses.
My mom says you can come for dinner if you can find him. Christina J. It's the blue house by the port. There's flowers on the porch.
There you go. Thank you.
That's
so that is the newspaper that unfolds in front of you. Newspaper. The opinion sheet.
It's one
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah, it is literally a piece of paper. Yes,
a piece of paper.
a broadsheet.
Right. Delilah is going to rip off that corner about the dog
Mm-hmm.
And put it in her pocket.
Blue house by the port
Mm-hmm.
with flowers. All right. That gets you to heading out the door, or is there anything else you're going to do before you
Yeah,
leave the
she
house?
just today she has the time to like make herself look as professional as possible. She
Mm-hmm.
got her new lab coat, she got her new apron.
Yep.
You know, she cleaned off her shoes as much as she could.
Yep.
They still like if you put your face up to them, they still kind of smell like burnt plastic.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
Yeah.
like you can't smell them from a distance.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, hair's up in that, you know, immaculate French twist.
Yeah.
And she goes into work.
All right. Let's cut
Just
away.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna say, among other things, she refills her medical bag, but that's just
Yep.
a mechanic thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Recharge. No questions asked. You get to go in and do that whenever you like. Let's cut away. Well, you do that and sort of sit through. I'm assuming you're going to stay at work all day, or at least part of the day.
Probably at least the first half.
Yeah, I was going to say you're a contract worker, so as long as you're up to date, you can piss off whenever you want. So
Yeah.
it's bad form to not show up for a week, even if you are caught up. But yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, you stay till noon. Well, okay, so that's all we needed to know because now we got to get Sid from waking up till noon. So Sid, you
Sid
crawl out in the morning.
miraculously wakes
First
up.
of all, Sid, before you even start, before your
Mhm.
eyes even open, what hurts the worst? You're a
What hurts the
middle-aged man.
worst?
You've been going hard for a couple days.
Small of his back.
Yeah.
His calves are killing him.
Yep.
All that
climbing,
climbing up,
sliding
climbing up that
around on
mountain.
the on the shit. Yeah.
His hammer arm's a little sore.
Yeah. Did a lot of practice.
Just right in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's got a lingering plastic headache.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
All
chemical
that
smell.
shit. Oh.
Part of your brain's going, get away! It's killing! It's gonna kill you! It's gonna kill you! It's like it's gone, asshole! No, it's just stuck in my nose. Fuck off! Yeah. Gotcha.
When he got home, he immediately went into the room that has the red X on it.
Uh-huh.
When he comes out, his apron is gone and he doesn't have the water umbrella with him.
Yep.
And then he goes to bed. When he wakes up in the morning, he takes an extra long shower.
Yeah.
Like uses up his quota.
Yeah.
And it's hot. Like you can see the steam is like billowing out from the bathroom. It like kind of lingers in the living room and stuff.
Oh yeah.
He gets out.
Yeah, steam power makes for good showers.
Doesn't ever. And he's used to hot, so it's just like it's near scalding for most
you
people.
work at the boiler, so yeah. Sauna, I go there to cool down.
So he starts his day. He knows what he's about to have to put himself through.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of tea, he makes coffee.
Yep.
He's got a little French press that he uses.
Yep.
Uses I don't know what they would use for heat. I guess it is just coal, or not coal, but whatever. And he sort of makes himself a piece of toast.
Yep.
Well, he goes downstairs, grabs the broadsheet, comes back up.
To cook probably, let's go with Coke rather than coal. And I don't mean, I mean, you take coal and burn it in an anaerobic environment. You end up with charcoal, and it doesn't make as much smoke.
Yeah.
So yeah, that. Otherwise, you can't see 10 feet.
He makes some, he spreads some marmalade on the toast, and he's eating it while he reads the broadsheet. Sees the part about the ergot and the rye and stops.
Yep.
Slowly finishes chewing, swallows, sets the toast down.
Yep.
And when he's done, I should say when he gets out of the shower, he's wearing just sort of it's not really a bathrobe. It's just kind of a glorified poncho.
Okay, it's like a big towel with a hole
Yeah,
cut in
just a
it for
big,
your head. Yeah,
yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
Um, so he finishes. He goes
I
back
like
into
that
his
idea.
room, gets
Yeah,
dressed. He
I
opens
want one.
his closet, and it's a row of identical shirts
Yep,
and a row of identical aprons.
yep. Mm,
He goes through the shirts, finds the one that looks cleanest, grabs
yeah.
that one,
I thought you
and
were
he
gonna say
knows
finds the
which.
one that marks Thursday.
Pretty much. And then he grabs his for work apron, the one where the nice one that's actually got the filigree that shows his rank as
Okay.
foreman and
Yeah.
how long he's been
The
working.
the one when you're not going out on the floor and getting dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He takes a half shift, and spends most of it doing administrative stuff.
As you're puttering through that though,
hmm,
what's going on in the other? Because this is automatic, man. This isn't even the
hmm,
hard part of your job, right? This is like paperwork Tuesdays. Shit. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Use this many hours, this many reports, no injuries, blah blah blah.
hmm,
So, what's going through your head? You've got a cop who's had a word.
hmm.
You've got a builder who's had a word. You got Verite who's in a closet. Yeah. What's
Well, the first thing he
you've been
thinks
to
of
the
that cop.
scrap? Yeah. What's
He
going
thinks
on?
about that cop, and he's just like, bollocks,
Mm-hmm.
fucking report. And so he, muttering about the stupid report he writes in, it's just like, approximately X time, entered scrap,
Yeah.
reached objective,
Yeah.
observed phenomena,
Yeah.
experienced resistance, left scrap.
Okay. And
Just
in
it's
retrospect, yeah, all you have to do is take that. Well, yeah, you've got the card. So if you take the card and that to any police station, any militia station,
mhm,
they'll get it to the right person, right?
yeah,
Make sure you keep the card. But yeah, we'll give you that.
just as blunt
Yep.
and succinct as possible. He wanted a report. He did not ask for
Nope. He
details.
told you it didn't have to be detailed. He just needed
Mhm,
something to put in his files, right?
yep.
You do that on the way to work? Drop that off at the
Yeah, he drops it off on the way to work. Sorry,
militias?
on the way to the Citadel.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rest of his shift is mostly double checking to make sure the apprentices are doing their jobs. So a little bit of supervisory work, kind of up in the scaffolds,
Yep.
making sure the apprentices are doing their jobs, keeping an eye on the constructs. He spends a lot of time watching Maxwell again, his
Yeah.
father.
Yeah.
Noting that it's right on time. The fucking steps aren't even different. Like he's worn his feet in the fucking
Yeah. On
path
the
pretty
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
The same bang bang with the silver chrome hammer, and yeah, his daily. It's weird because he's used to being down on the floor,
Yep.
and some of the other supervisors kind of give him a hard time for wearing his pretty clothes to work.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Um, the usual kind of job ribbing.
Yep. So
And then
yeah. Go ahead.
at the noon bell, pretty much,
Yeah.
he's just like, oh, all right then, let's get this over with. And he hands the whistle
Yeah.
off to Tomas, who's his second,
Yep.
and heads up to the Citadel. He does not go there very often. He really doesn't.
On
So it takes him a while to get there.
on the walk there, perfect. Because on the walk there, you see uh, a group of militia down at the end of a street. They're not focused on you. They're very much turned away from you, and they're kind of. It almost looks like they're hurting somebody, and you kind of look over, and they are. There's a person. There's about 8 or 9 militia, and there's one drunk guy. He's like, hey, it looks like he's been up all night, and he's still up at noon the next day, and he's threatening to fight him and all that. And none of them have taken their weapons out. They're all being very, very passive. They're all just approaching him in a semicircle with their hands up, and they all just sort of lean, and they just, and and just take them down with sheer weight of numbers. And there's a tiny little scuffle, and then they come off one by one, and the last two come up with this guy cuffed. And they just lead him away, and he's kind of given up at this point, but there's not a mark on him. There was no violence. And you can hear them as they're walking away going, "Don't worry, Tom, we'll just sleep it off. Don't worry, buddy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Every Tuesday. Yeah, I know. Ha, 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 ha."
It's Thursday.
Yeah. But yeah, he's so drunk he thinks it's Tuesday. But yeah, you see them. This is how the militia work. This is, you've seen it before, but there's just this sort of this reminder that they are not violent. They are really there to keep the peace.
Yeah, Sid doesn't really make much of it. He makes sure first that it's not someone who's coming on next shift.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Because he still has the schedules pretty much memorized. He's
Yep.
And yeah, just
So you head towards the Citadel. What are you going there for? Are you intending to meet Delilah, or?
Yeah, kind of meet like Sid doesn't really know. He doesn't like this kind of stuff. He doesn't like the talking and the intrigue and bullshit.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of hoping Delilah takes lead.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just there to support her.
Yep.
But at the same time, he has his own technical expertise. People know that if Sid's coming to the Citadel, something's either gone really wrong,
Yep.
or he's got something to say.
Yep. Yeah, either you're in shit or something needs to change. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, with all your relative level of power at the place where you work, at the Citadel, you're still not allowed off the first floor.
Oh, yeah. No, Sid's well aware of that.
Yeah.
There's probably been a couple incidents where they forced him back onto the first floor.
Well, and the thing is, in the basement of the Citadel, and Delilah would know this, that's where the work is done, the capital T, capital W work. It's all done underground, and it's very secretive as to how it all works, which makes some people think it's really creepy. It's really just basically copyright protection in a world that doesn't have lawyers. If nobody knows what you do, they can't steal it. So that's it. But all of that happens underground. So on a fairly regular basis, engineers and even the occasional technosopher would be called into the basements and sort of not blindfolded, but sort of led to the thing, fix the thing, and then led out again.
Mm-hmm.
But never, ever, ever up. Even if you're in shit, they come to you at your place, right? You don't go there.
Yeah. So yeah, Sid would just, I guess, come up to Delilah.
Yeah, we'll have Delilah walk out. Narratively, nicely timed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Delilah's going for lunch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Delilah's heading out for lunch. So.
So yeah, Sid would, come up to her and say, "Miss Stillwater."
Oh, hello. I didn't expect you to come along.
Well, wouldn't be right for you to go alone. We are a team, right?
I suppose so, yes. You're going to need special permission if you want to come with me. We should go get that.
Right.
So where is it you're intending to go then? Just to clarify.
Essentially, I imagine there's like a security desk at the entrance to, or maybe like in front of the elevators or something.
Yeah.
Or the staircase.
Yeah.
The
front desk. They don't like it to be called security, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't getting past it, but they'd prefer you just called it the front desk. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's like they prefer you call it a shopping center when you work there, not a mall.
So I approach with, say, the front desk, as it were, and essentially say, I've been called up to the second floor, and I have a guest with me who has also been called.
Sid sort of nods.
Okay. Charisma? Yeah, that makes sense. You're trying to charm your way past them, right?
I mean, I have like a modicum of standing in
That is, yeah,
this
absolutely.
establishment as
Yep.
well.
You bet. Positively, that makes that will make any successes that you generate even more so.
So this is the 4, I think. Yes. In that case, okay, here's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, you know this is a big ask to come in here with no paperwork and try and get him upstairs. Yeah.
Mm.
Even for the blah, 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 savant that you are, right? Even for that person, this is a bit much. So let's see.
Yeah.
How many successes?
She has the esteem. Sid has the notoriety.
Well, you could get in. You could get the two of you into the boiler area much better. But this is home, right? This is Delilahville, so
yeah.
Delilahville. It's like a margarita, but it uses something else instead of tequila. I don't know. Oh, I love this game just because people's faces fucking freeze. It's like watching people play chess, except it's interesting.
2 successes.
2 successes. And yes, it did. So there you go. 4 of them, in fact.
Oh, 4. Okay.
Yeah, no, 4 you boobies. We were talking about earlier.
Oh, the booby.
Yes. It's 2 successes.
I forgot it was the booby card.
So, sorry, were those hearts? I wasn't looking.
Those were hearts.
Okay, so that's actually so that's 3 successes, 1 for each card plus the added up to 8, right?
No, it only added up to 6.
Okay, added up to 6. I only saw 4. All right, so
Easily
2
distracted.
successes. 2 successes. With that, they kind of look up at you. They look over at Sid. I'm gonna give you a chance to help here. What do you do, and therefore, what 1 card are you going to be able to add to this?
I am going to add.
I don't care what skill you've got. You can add 1 card because this is help. So.
All right. Well, this is going to be a 2 of hearts.
Okay.
Because of his firmness, he's just going to just sort of like stare as if,
how dare you consider me a threat? Yeah.
More of the I'm going with her whether you like it or not.
Gotcha. Okay. So that was a 2. Yeah, play the card. It was 1 success. So with that, he spins.
Bring it up to 8 as well.
That actually does. So 2 more successes. Thank you.
Successes.
Yeah,
4 successes. He was right.
Yep. You spin 1 each. You spin that. They spin the clipboard around and push it towards you, and hand you a pen, and say, "You signed yourself in. I wasn't here." And the second, if you take the pen from them, they just turn and go on coffee. They go for a break.
Cedric was like, "Very good."
Yeah. Which one of you took the pen? Which one of you is committing forgery?
Sid.
Okay.
Sid's gonna do it.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, what are they gonna do? Ban you from the building you're already banned from? Yeah, you can't come here anyway. So
something's gonna need to be fixed, and they're gonna have to call me anyways.
It's like taking away my license. I haven't got one.
Yeah, and he signs his full name, Cedric.
So you actually sign yourself in, okay?
Cedric Grimlaw.
Delilah, you would have to sign yourself in. Well, that's not a problem. You're allowed on the 2nd floor. So, and the 2 of you, with actually, there's 2 passes there that you have to fill out as well. This is the forgery part. This is the part that you're not supposed to do. You will have to put your own names on these and to continue. So each do your own. What do you do?
What part are we forging?
You're basically pretending to be the person who just left behind the desk.
Oh, okay.
Right. Because what you're going to have to put on this card is your name, which is legit. That's not forgery. But then you're going to have to sign in, sign you in, and you're not qualified to sign you in. That's not your job. But yeah, you can just put a squiggle or something. Who knows?
Yeah, it looks like a doctor's
Yeah.
signature.
Yeah.
Either way.
I've met this person before since I've
Yep.
been to the
Yep.
second floor.
You're in and out of
period.
here all the time. Yeah.
I know their name. I've seen them scribble it on passes for me in the
Yep.
past.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I just kind of approximate what
Okay.
I've seen in the past.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not even gonna make you play for that. Yeah, it's close enough. I mean, nobody looks, right. They're passes. You're past this point with a pass, you're fine. So with that, you head up the stairs through the door. The guard looks quickly at your passes and lets you through the locked door. Literally unlocks it, lets you through, and locks it behind you. So as you step into your familiar hallway, Delilah, the door behind you clunk, clunk, and locks, which is normal for you. There's a long hallway ahead of you. Because you're still as brilliant as you are, you're also still quite young. So your office is quite close. It's sort of this unwritten hierarchy. The further down the hall you are, the more powerful you are.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought the other way around. The further down the hall you are, the longer you have to walk.
Oh no, the longer everybody else has to walk to get to you.
I see.
Plus, you're far away from the elevator and all the ruckus of all the fussy bits that the little people do at the other end of the hallway. So yeah,
I get you. They're all introverts.
Yes. The yeah, the room you're looking for, the person, because you guys have an address, right? You're going to look for this person.
I have two things in my pocket: the business card and the newspaper clipping.
Okay. So from the business card, oh, there was no address on it though.
There was a room number.
There was actually, yes, there was a room number. Yes, thank you for correcting me. Yeah, so yeah, you look at the room number. It's about almost 3/4 of the way down, which is impressive. The last sort of 20% is the builders. So they're just outside of that zone. Like they are one of the most powerful non-builder builders. One of the most powerful people that isn't an original member that saved the city.
I turn to Sid.
Yeah.
And I say, "Looks like you're supposed to be here." And then I turn around and I walk with purpose.
Yep.
Down the hall.
The two of you head down the hall to meet in Septum.
About a quarter of the way down, Sid slows by a specific door.
And
he stops. Last time I was here was to confirm the old man's death. Right. And keeps going.
You make your way down the hall, all the way to Inseptum's office. There's the door. What do you do?
I knock with confidence.
You hear from inside, enter.
I do.
You open the door, and outside everything's sort of classical Florentian. Like it's kind of an unwritten rule. Everything's very classical. It's all gone back to that sort of 15th, 16th, 17th century sort of look.
Renaissance.
Yeah, but inside, it's like a molded plastic desk, and it's all like Art Deco. It's a mess. It's Art Deco, and it's the rounded plastic, and it's the minimalist Bauhaus stuff, and it's just it. If you really wanted to push it, you'd call it eclectic. But like the old man in the chair and Fraser said, does that mean nothing matches? But yeah, it's one of those rooms. Everything in here, you can tell it's important. It means something. It's all very hoity-toity if you knew it. But none of it matches. It is almost an eyesore. But behind this huge rounded desk sits Inseptum, or at least the person you know as Inseptum.
When Sid enters the room, he is very glad that he's got a big mushy mustache because it hides the grimace.
Oh
considering his aesthetic.
Oh yeah.
Delilah makes
He
sure
has
to
an
close the
aesthetic
door.
aesthetic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. You close the door behind you.
Close the
Clunk.
door
Yeah.
behind us. And
It very
she
clearly
takes
does not lock. You do not hear the clunk after you close it.
she takes several what's the word, like purposeful steps towards his desk. Does not go right up to his desk because that would be presumptuous. But stands about maybe 5 feet away and looks at him and goes, I believe you were expecting us.
I was, actually, and I'm quite impressed you got in with this little fuss. Nice to meet you. Please have seats. You've got a choice between like a Louis the 14th, probably the real thing, really uncomfortable high back chair, and a beanbag chair. Probably a legitimate 60s beanbag chair with some kind of toxic fucking plastic beads inside it. Yeah.
I will take the high back.
Okay. So you perch on the chair. Sid?
Sid takes one look
Stand
at
or...
the beanbag
Yeah.
chair,
Yeah.
looks at Inceptum.
Yeah.
I'll stand if you don't mind.
It's amazing how many people say that. And he looks at the two of you. So, ready to do some traveling, or do you have some more questions?
I think you know what we're here for.
Enlighten me, he said as the GM. What did I promise you?
I'm trying to remember what Coast and Artemis wanted to know. First of all, why should we trust you?
You shouldn't.
Promising.
Give
Well,
us a reason.
I'll give you a whole bunch of options and you can pick one. Fame, fortune, historical notes, money.
Sid's expression does not change.
You'll be the ones that reopen the world. What are those Americans? Smith and Wesson? No, that's not the ones. The two that went, the ones that opened up the West or whatever it was.
Lewis and Clark.
That's the ones.
What is it you're looking for us to do?
Go and have a look. Go outside, beyond the walls, beyond the scrap. Put your feet in grass. Walk around a bit, don't get caught by a technophont. See what you see, come back and tell me. I'm not asking you to go to Venice in one day. I just want to know if you can get out and back in. Then I want to know if you can get out and out, by which I mean beyond the technophonts and into the unknown. Then I want to know what the hell's still out there. But let's start with, can you get out?
And if we can't, you're going to somehow explain away the death of two highly esteemed Citadel workers?
I was rather hoping I'd just have to talk you out of the militia's hands. I would rather prefer you didn't die.
The outside's a very dangerous place, sir.
That's what you've been told your entire time you've been here. But as I've been saying, that's full of, how do you say it, shit. It's no more dangerous than anywhere else outside. Because I've done research, you're very good at what you do. Would it surprise you that I'm as good at what I do as you are at what you do?
And what is it that you do?
Recent history. And that, he's the only one. Like, nobody has studied what's happened since. Right? Historians that exist, if they exist, they're always talking about the golden age before and blah, 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 blah. If he's right, he's possibly the only person in Florence who might have an idea of what's actually happened since the fall.
you give us proof?
Go outside, see that there's nothing out there intentionally hunting you down and killing you, and call it proof.
That's not you giving us proof. That's us getting us proof.
Well, yes, I can't give you proof because I can't go outside.
Who's to say we can? Why can't you just risk your life?
I am, the vast majority of the time, watched. I am also, and he holds out his arm, and there's a bracelet on it. Like it looks like it's too tight, and then you realize it's actually built into the skin. It's there's a slice of his body has been replaced by this bracelet. It goes all the way through. They know where I am at all times. I can shut it off for about 5 minutes, about once a year. That's how I got to meet you in the first place. I've got 363 and a half days left until I can try again.
If we're going to do this for you, we need you to do something for us.
What do you need?
Work like this is going to attract attention. It already has.
Mm-hmm.
We need assurances that it's not going to impede our progress.
Oh, I can assure you that those people, and he slides open his curtain, and behind him you look out, and there's a group of protesters over around the out in the yard of the Citadel, and you can just barely read the signs from here, and they say things like "There be monsters," and "Guard us from without."
Quick question, do I recognize any of them from the
Yes,
scuffle?
they are almost exactly the same group of people that were protesting you, the Don't Bring Back the Past people. There's a very large overlap between those people and the There Be Monsters group.
Do those folks have anything to do? As he's
We're
like,
not just being watched by them.
Oh, oh. The militia's taken an
lad
interest,
in
have
fancy
they?
pants.
Oh, I can fix that. Which one was it?
Never got a name.
How are you expected to contact them?
Dropbox. He said he'll contact us, and he does it with like a very mocking.
Well, then, perhaps a general addendum would be best, and he jots something quick on a piece of paper, a note to himself for later. He says, that will stop. In fact, and he jots another little line underneath it, and you can see in slightly larger letters he's written in caps, call in a favor, and put it in a box. In fact, you'll be all but invisible to the militia from now on.
Sid sort of exhales sharply with a satisfied smile.
Now, he is absolutely, you can see him use the tip of that quill pen to tap that box that he just wrote.
Mm-hmm.
He knows you've seen it. He knows what the message is sent. I'm calling in a favor for this shit before you've ever done anything. Right.
Delilah is very much, what's the word? Not processing, but like debating, trying to determine how best to, or rather whether she should press further.
Mm-hmm.
You call in favors like this often?
Well, not often. That's how I've got as many as I do.
And what do you do that grants you all these favors?
Very similar things to what I'm doing for you. Or I make things go away. Or I misplace paperwork.
Could you perhaps find paperwork?
And he dips the quill and holds it over the pen again, over the page again. And what is it we're looking for?
Nothing for now. But keep things in mind.
And you see him write just the letter D, and next to it, a favor? Question mark.
Consider it my payment for what I'm going to do for you.
I've got a better idea. Let's consider it partial payment. How would you like an office? Oh, I don't know. 10, 12 doors down the hall? That's like way out into middle management land.
Tempting. But if you've ever paid attention to my career track, you would know I'm fairly favored for that already.
How about your own personal floor in the basement then? Fully equipped lab, assistants, real human assistants that don't need to be programmed.
Delilah's nails are kind of digging into this like antique wood.
Mm-hmm.
That and the paperwork.
If this works, and I don't mean out and in once, but if we prove that it's possible to travel to other towns and back without special preparation and without technophones, the favors you will be able to ask of me will end one door down the hall from this office. Like, in other words, you'll be that
Yeah.
close to the happy land at the end where, yeah, yeah. And you cannot say, and as much as you can say you're fast tracked to that, your fast track to that is 20 years instead of a
Yeah.
lifetime, right? And he's offering
Yeah.
it to you next week. Well, no, it's like within a month. It's gonna, you got to go out there
Yeah.
and prove a trip,
Um,
which is gonna take steps.
did you say
right?
did you say there's a third floor? Or is it just two?
The
There's
third floor is the builders only.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame.
Nobody, not even this dude, goes up there without an invite and an escort.
An armed escort.
Yeah. Because their offices are here, but they're sort of chambers. If they were judges, they're that's upstairs.
The Ivory Tower.
Yeah, exactly. They're private
Is
offices.
there would Delilah's instructions as her younger self have been generated from that high up?
There's no way you got fast tracked, especially if we were talking about your background being essentially creche raised. Once it was realized you were special, it was like yoink, and into special schools. So yeah, you are known. You are got a great big star beside you on your sheet. So yeah. But what else did you want to know?
That
Specifically?
was
Yeah, that was it. Okay. I'm just going to give
Okay.
you a second to think while we cut across to Sid. You see this conversation going on, and I'm assuming, I'm not going to make you check, the tension is freaking palpable between the two of them, right? It's a power relationship, and it should be like this, but somehow it just isn't.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Sid's
your
taking it in?
Yeah.
To him, it's a lot of politics,
Yeah.
but he could tell that it's very personal for Delilah.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do seeing that there? You kind of this insanely weird office around you. This is not your sort of comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm. As a result, he's actually kind of staying pretty tight-lipped.
Mm-hmm.
He's said most of what he feels like he could say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he does not trust this guy.
No.
Doesn't. Yeah, no, he doesn't really say anything. He's just standing there, his back ramrod straight, parade rest, pretty much.
Yeah.
Arms folded across his chest.
And Inceptum turns to you for a moment and says, "You're more challenging. I don't know
Last
what
time I
to
was here,
offer
they
you."
called me problematic.
That's a word that means they can't handle you. Um, what's challenging about you is that I don't know what to offer you. Retirement? What do you
His eyes narrow.
want, Sid?
What I want. You can't get me what I want. But what I'll settle for is safety. You know my job. You know why it's hard. You know why people die. I'm trying to stop that. I've always have.
Perhaps if we had some sort of inspector general for such things. Fancy new apron, and he points to your already pretty fancy apron. The power to make real changes.
That'll rustle a lot of feathers.
I do enjoy ruffling feathers almost as much as I enjoy plucking them. Why don't you leave what would your friends and you call it at the pub? The political bullshit to me. I'm asking if you would like the power to make your workplace and others a safe place. Inspector General Brimlock.
Yeah. Sid stares a hole into him.
Mm-hmm.
Like just.
And he just scratches Inspector General of Safety ? Onto his little pad. And it's Sid with a C, right? So yes, just a C in a line. Yeah.
Mm. We'll see. It took a long time to get to that, like to the point where, if it wasn't for the fact that he'd be blinking every couple of seconds, you'd think he's a statue.
Well, we've been talking rather long term. Let's shorten this up a bit for a simple trip outside without getting caught into the actual grasslands. I'm not even asking you to get beyond the farms. Do that and come back, and I'll make the militia leave you alone.
Sid looks over to Delilah.
Well, you may or may not be approaching the wall soon enough. Something different. So, let's see if we can kill two birds with one stone. Shall we?
And he just grins and looks over at Sid. And you?
I've got business outside the wall. It may not happen in the next few days, but we'll see.
There's no rush. I'm sure whatever nice officer is bothering you for information will wait. Whenever you're ready.
So we sorted then?
Absolutely. You were never here, deals were never struck, but everything we said binds us if you agree. And he reaches out his hand back and forth between the two of you.
If Delilah starts to move towards it, Sid will take the hand instead.
Delilah is going to move her hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not like super like eagerly, but
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
with a very declarative poise of like, if this doesn't work, I owe you nothing.
Absolutely, yes.
Mhm.
Almost like a kiss my hand, but not actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sees the look and says, "Don't worry. It's not a contract. It's just an agreement."
Yeah. Sid's grip is crushing.
His is
Just
not. He's
yeah.
a tower boy, right? He's a citadel
Mhm.
boy. And you
So
actually
yeah,
see him sort of.
when he takes his hand, Sid like does not break eye contact. This
Yeah.
is definitely a sort of a male dominance
Oh
power
yeah,
play kind of
absolutely.
thing.
And you do the whole fold him down at the shoulder thing,
Yeah.
and he gets the eye squint, a little bit of sweat. You know it hurts.
Mm-hmm. And that was just his natural, just
Yep.
bam.
Oh yeah, yeah. You've run that hammer for years. You let his hand go, and he visibly flexes it. He's not trying to hide that it hurt at all. He flexes it, shakes it out, and holds it out, and it's kind of shaken, but he holds it out to Delilah.
Same thing. Same
Just hit.
expectations.
Yeah, yeah,
Same. Like her grasp is also firm
yeah.
in a very like dignified, I will not be betrayed way.
Yep. And his hand already hurts, so yeah, just that pressure. You see him again, that wince, and he shakes his hand out. So, let me know when you get back. Let me know what you see. All we're really looking for here is a way out where no one catches you.
How do I contact you? I can't be sneaking him up here every time we need to talk to you.
Oh, of course. And he pulls open the desk drawer, digs in for a little bit, and pulls out two passes. They're done in silver and gold filigree. This whole place is this Renaissance, so it's everything like it's fancy, so it's got filigree all over it. It's two essentially business cards, and all they are is the card with the room number on it. He slides two of them across the desk. Please don't lose those. We can't have any old fools walking in here. But with those, either of you can come up here unquestioned.
Sid takes the card and he slides it into a pocket in the apron.
Yep.
Yeah, Delilah. I like the idea that there's like a secret like inner pocket.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. Probably
And
several.
Delilah will also.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The Citadel
I know it looked like it went
employee.
into her bra, but
I was
didn't.
gonna say the Citadel employee right down the bra. That's yeah.
I mean, you
Yep.
want people to not touch stuff.
Yeah. And when you when you turn and then they ripped that piece of paper off that they had on the top of their sort of pad of paper and put it in that drawer. And when they slide it closed, you can hear the drawer lock. They're saying, that's safe. Our agreement is safe. And then they look up at the two of you, dip the quill, and just start writing pointless notes. Their eyes drop.
Yeah.
And Delilah will simply say, "Appreciate your time."
I look forward to hearing back from you.
Sid offers his hand to help Delilah stand, just as a matter of politeness.
Mm-hmm.
Delilah will take it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is gonna sound weird. Delilah's social context of her world is shifting heavily.
Yep.
So I think without realizing it, she keeps holding his hand a little longer than she should.
Yeah, instead of just standing up, you are now being escorted by a Sid.
It's just like
Yeah.
she just not because she's clueless, but more because she just like likes the contact.
The safeness. Yeah.
She didn't get that
Yeah.
a lot.
No, that's certainly
It
not
doesn't
something that
feel
would.
like a human hand, though. It's tough and it's leather.
It's flesh.
It's still warm, right? It's
yeah,
human.
it's
Yeah.
warm and
It
alive.
responds. Yeah. When you
Yeah.
squeeze it, you can feel it move. You can feel the pulse in it. Yeah.
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 So
The hairs on the back of it tickle your palm. Absolutely. Yeah, I got you.
And then she opens the door, lets go, straightens herself up, and composes herself and walks out. And then you know, looks at Sid to remind him, look like you're supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And
Well, you've got the magic passes now, but yeah.
yeah,
Still.
yeah.
You
but,
still got the you still got the one you lied about, the forgery hanging around your neck. So.
Yeah. So I shut the door of the office behind us.
Yep.
And we walk with purpose again.
Yep. Just clearing
the
out.
stairs.
Yeah. Sid. What's your
Um,
response to Delilah sort of turning it into an escort from a help up, and then
that far?
I know, but just that
The
you
extra couple
you
of
said
steps.
that little
Extra-
bit too long, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
Sid is. I mean, he's a human. He's gonna recognize that, right?
Yeah.
So that, and then out the door and down the hall. Walk us through that from Sid's perspective.
Sid's perspective, the lingering, he's surprised by it, but the last time he was in the Citadel, he was the one who needed it, so he understands.
Yep. Fair. Yeah.
So, it's I say firm because, Sid's just got that grip. Like that's just a natural thing for him. He lets go. It's just instant. Leaving, he doesn't say anything. He just, he's like, one step or two steps, to the left and behind.
Yeah.
And it isn't until they leave and they're like out of earshot of the two guys standing at the entrance.
Yep.
He kind of leans against the wall and just lets out a long, exhausted string of swears. Like he'd been holding those in the entire time.
Yep.
And it's just like it's quick, it's muttering, he's just getting it out. I hate going to that place.
It's not the most pleasant, I will admit. But
do you trust the bastard?
Not quite as far as I can throw him, but he gave us reasons.
And he didn't mention Verite.
I don't think he knows about Verite.
Good.
Either that or Verite means nothing to him.
Let's try to keep it that way. Keep the spotlight on us. We can do his work in peace.
That man does not need more trouble.
No, he does not.
Thank you for coming with me, by the way.
Didn't seem right to for you to go in there all alone.
Well, it's not as if I get to talk to a builder every day. Well, directly at least.
Is it just me, or do they all talk the same? All fluty and shite.
They certainly have the heads a certain level above the rest of us.
I forget who has what voice, so I just do the same fucking voice for everybody. Leave me alone.
Perhaps there's a higher power that deigns or deems what they must do.
Oh, you just made it canon. They all talk fruity now.
Yeah. Well, it's Sid's working class opinion, right?
Yep.
No.
They're putting on airs for sure.
Exactly.
If by fluty you mean important, then yeah, it's all right.
A man's judged by the work he does with his hands, not with the things he says with his mouth.
Well, if what he was writing down is considered what he does with his hands, I think we may have substantial motivation.
I honestly don't care what this idiot says. It's what he does that matters. And if I'm going to be completely fair, if he does come through with it, I can put Veritate's work to use.
As can I.
I don't like it. I'd rather work with my hands than sit behind a fucking desk.
I suspect you might be able to tell him that, but that's a future endeavor.
Yeah. We've just got to make it through the night.
I'll tell you what. How would you like to find a dog with me?
He thinks about it. The one in the paper.
Yeah. She takes out the clipping.
Mm-hmm. I
No.
heard that too.
To be clear, just in case you hadn't figured this out, missing dog, if it is a deceased dog, it is either a construct already, or it's in the bins waiting to be one.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know.
Sort of the unsung, unmentioned
Yeah.
reality, I guess.
So the point I'm trying to get at is, in all likelihood, this might be for real, but in all likelihood, it is a wild dead goose chase.
Yeah.
There's also
I was hoping there was like a description of the dog so we could confirm that it was the dog.
Nope.
But I don't see
There's also the whole thing
you'd have
that
to go to the house.
A missing dog is spycraft code for something far more important.
I mean, in that case, yeah, let's go find the dog.
Yeah. Along the way, Sid just sort of asks Delilah in an attempt to, I guess, lighten the mood. It's like, what do they do with dogs? I mean, your work. Like, I understand the Aurochs, I understand the cleaners and my boys downstairs. But what would they do with a dog?
Kevin, is there any like canon answer for you, or should I make something up?
Go ahead and make something up. The only thing that popped into my mind is like the equivalent of programmable taxidermy.
No.
No. Okay.
Yikes.
The more practical owners purchase them to guard the farms. The
That makes sense.
less distinguished buyers fancy them as exotic pets.
Like a Frankenfido or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. It's a little. I didn't question it when I was learning on animals, but
Now you're starting to wonder if you should have.
in so many words, yes. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Not as light-hearted, admittedly. You said you've been to the second floor before.
About 5 years ago, me old man didn't make it. There was an accident. One of the boilers collapsed, and he was crushed. I had to go as his second to verify the body.
I'm so sorry.
He still works with us. That's the strangest part.
Oh.
So
I don't. If it's any consolation, I don't think I worked on him.
not a problem, ma'am. It's just that's what we do with the dead. It's not what we used to do. That's what my mum told me, but that's what we do now, so that's what we have to live with.
My mum, she told me a lot about what they used to do before all the death. You know what? Why don't we get something to eat? I'm rather famished. And she just kind of like, come on, and like she'll
There's
she'll help him to the cafeteria.
yeah. Oh, in the building? Okay, because I was gonna say there is definitely a restaurant in the building. Down on the main floor, it's public-ish. Like there's a public section and a private section. Like imagine at the hospitals, some of them you can kind of
Yeah.
see the doctor section over there. You're not allowed to
Mhm.
go, but it's all one area. It's like that. But outside in the city, like any sort of city of this Renaissance time period, there's food vendors and food carts and stuff, just the whole city. So entirely up to you is where you want to go. You would certainly be comfortable eating at the Citadel. You do it every day, pretty much, right? So
Um, I suppose you don't have to stay, but you're welcome to.
Yeah, sure. And he kind of looks to Delilah like she knows where to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, she she heads to the cafeteria, whatever restaurant.
Yeah.
Um, and she pulls out I imagine she has like a prepaid
Yep.
meal card
Oh yeah, it's
kind of
like a
thing.
like account, like an account.
Yeah.
Yeah, an account card. Yep.
Um, she swipes it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it lets both of them in.
Thus committing fraud for the second time in one
It's a
day.
gift.
And you boop into the restaurant. Yeah, it's a nice. I mean, this is probably the nicest restaurant in the city. It's the Citadel, right? So, yeah, you guys are here in time for sort of a late lunch, so the place is more or less your own.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a nice view because it's a restaurant. You can see the legs of David in the distance, and sort of people moving around their daily lives, totally unaware of this like tidal wave of potential change just looming over them.
So, my thoughts. My thoughts are Verite wants us to go to the port.
Aye.
And it may be stupid, but this girl with her lost dog, at the very least it's intriguing, and she's by the port. So if we have to go to the port, we could use that as an excuse.
We wouldn't seem out of place then.
No, I mean, just don't wear your apron. Which, that coming from Delilah is like a shocker.
Sid just sort of looks at her, like just
I'm what?
just doesn't think. Cause I thought Coas would have said it first,
I'm sure he would have, but he's not here.
as he's late.
When is he not?
About teach that boy.
Probably is a boy to you.
Yeah.
How old is it?
To put it, I think if I was reading it right, the fall of London was in the 2050s, and this is like 2070 some.
Yep, that's
I
about
think.
right.
So Sid's probably about 35.
Okay. Delilah's like 31.
Yeah.
So
He just looks way older than everybody else because of all the work he does.
Which is really odd because of the medical advances that Delilah and other people are implementing every day. Most people look a lot younger than they are.
yeah, Delilah looks like 25 probably.
Yep.
Look, I don't like it, and I don't know if I can do it yet, but you are clearly more comfortable in plain clothes than I am. So maybe one person brings the apron, one person doesn't, in case we need an apron.
Well, I usually bring my satchel with me if I need it. And
And
harkening
again, you
back to the
guys,
first,
if
he
you
had
put
the
your jacket on, it's invisible, right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And there's also the thing where, like, the first episode he wasn't wearing it. He had it in a bag with him.
yep. Yep. Precisely.
I'm going to go to that girl's house tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Will you come with me?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Hold on, let me go back to the map.
Yeah. It's only mid-afternoon at this point, so you guys have sort of finished up
Yeah.
your meal. Yeah, it's down here.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like,
very close to the port.
Mm-hmm. It would actually pass Sid's house along the way.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna. Delilah doesn't know that where Sid lives,
Yep.
but so she would say, like, meet me at the ossuary after work.
Sounds easy enough. It's not that far.
And then,
so see you then.
Yeah. So you get about 2.5, 3 hours. Let's start with Sid this time. What do you do?
Being the, hen mother that he secretly is, Sid checks on his shift.
Yep.
Just to make sure everything's going smoothly.
Oh, yeah.
All the talk today kind of made him a little not nostalgic, because the nostalgia you'd be having is bad.
Yep.
But
when you get back and check in, that moment you walk into the office and you see your junior, who you left in charge, they fit. Like, they like it up here. You never felt, you said earlier tonight, you've never felt comfortable in this sort of, you want to be down on the floor, right? That's what you're used to. You realize that this kid fits up here.
So what Sid does is he watches silently for a bit. He realizes
kind of goes,
that Tomas,
he's busy, but he sees you and gives you the wave, right?
Yeah. Sid sort of looks over the reports he's already filed, checking the numbers, production levels and stuff. Right, very good. Puts it back. Kind of claps him on the shoulder when he's not like writing something.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work. Maybe take the day off tomorrow. I'm sure you've earned it.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Right.
Sir.
Aye.
Not to be rude, but could I get that in writing?
The fucking smirk on his face. Of course, yeah. He grabs it, scribbles, Tomas gets the day off. Don't bother him.
He put in his pocket. Thank you very much, sir. If you'll excuse me, 3's down a bit on pressure. I've got to go yell at Bill until it goes back up.
Right, of course. Well, I'll leave you to it then. You have a good rest of the night.
You too, sir.
It's a great Italian accent you got there.
People from all over. Stillwater is a very, very Italian
There's
name, I'm
one
sure.
guy, he's
I
all,
know, I know.
yeah. It was everything I had not to go full West Country on you. So that's the next one that's coming out. Make me make another NPC, and he's going to sound like Phil Harding from Time Team.
Yes.
I already did that. I already did that with Bill once. Who are stoner crows? Because you get to do the who are thing too. Yeah, so yeah, you get to be all guttural. It's great fun. Anyway,
So yeah, it spends about 10 minutes watching Max.
yeah,
You know, long enough for, you know, one or two people to notice that Sid's being weird again.
yep.
And then he heads back up and meets Delilah, and they make their way to, or no, I guess he would actually head home.
Yep.
And then as Delilah's walking by, you hear from the top of the steps that, like, I think it was like a small, I call it a garden, but nobody knows what grows in it.
Yeah.
So
I just
a weed
assumed you meant like the
patch.
British garden, which just means yard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
The
much.
front garden and the back garden. Well, you got plants there. Oh, grass, maybe a little hedge.
Some clover.
It's not a fucking
And
garden.
then, yeah, so and it's just like sort of a, I want to say adobe, but it fits in with everything else. It's just a long steps up to the top, and so there's about, you know, it's like about a 10-foot balcony,
Yep.
and Sid's leaning on the railing, a cup of tea in his hand,
Yeah.
holding the saucer. Mom, how are you today?
So can I just say before this?
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say. Yeah. Now we got to get you to that moment. So
Yeah.
from late lunch, Sid walks away. Go.
So Delilah's already done some heart pounding things today, so she's not gonna like try and, you know, step out of line any further today.
Fair.
But she will eat a quick dinner and head home to change.
Yep.
She actually takes her apron off
Mm-hmm.
and neatly folds it and tucks it in her med bag.
Yep.
And then puts on some sort of darker but still kind of professional looking clothing.
Yep.
But also leaves her lab coat behind.
Okay. So yeah, you've hidden everything that you are in one way or another.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Yeah.
It's not, and it's, the thing is, she's not necessarily, maybe it's partly to make her stand out less, but maybe she wants to stand out less because she's always drawn attention, and maybe she doesn't want it this time.
Yep.
So,
Very much
but
so.
like, you know, she brought it as backup because she knows she wields power.
Yeah.
But maybe tonight she wants to be ordinary.
Or wield power on your own behalf instead of through an apron.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's walking down the streets through this neighborhood that she's not super familiar with,
Nope.
but Sid, you see Delilah, and you almost don't recognize her at first because she's dressed in a way you've never seen her dressed before. But you do recognize that like perfectly French twisted bright red hair.
Yeah.
So you greet her, and she looks up and she goes, "Oh, hello. I didn't know you lived down here."
Yeah, well, it's nice and quiet. People don't bother me. It's a pleasure to see that Delilah Stillwater can take it off. and then he realizes what he says, and you see him just sort of walk into the house for a quick second.
Yep.
He comes back out, and he doesn't have the teacup with him.
She just lets it go.
Kara's splat in the chat.
Yeah.
Now, the ossuary is right there. And I mention it because it's a weird thing. In a world, or at least a city, where the constructs exist, this is a place of the dead who are permanently, like, it's just bones. Right? There's nothing left. So it's a real disconnect from the rest of this world. And you have to kind of walk past it as you head towards the port. I'm not going to ask because we've already been in your heads 1,000 times tonight, but just that sort of that weirdness as you walk by.
Slightly uncanny.
Yeah.
A building that looks like it should have a purpose, but kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you head past it, you see you're kind of hyper tense, I would assume, because you guys, as much as you're going to find a dog, it's like neither one of you's, as much as this is your neighborhood, Sid, down here by the port isn't. There's very few people live down here, right? So as you move off in this direction, even you're not at home. It's strange. But you do see, like I said, very few people live down here, so most of the houses have just gone gray with time. But there is one that's been recently painted blue. It's quite small, and it's really quite pretty. It actually sits right up against the port wall. Like maybe it used to be an office of some sort. It doesn't have a door to it, but it's near where you can see a bricked up archway. You're not going to be able to get in through there. There are 2 doors into the port, 2 big gates. But this is just this little blue house. Appears to be the only house within a block within 2 or 3 blocks that's got any people living in it.
Do we need to go through the big arch to get around to the door?
No. The house is sort of, if you look at the map, sort of there. And the doors going into the port are there and there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'll find some sort of...
There's also flowers on the, a group of flowers tied to one of the posts outside, like it said in the ad.
So there's no like obvious door to this house?
Oh yes, yeah. Sorry, I meant there's this little. It's like it used to be a little guardhouse, and there was a gate beside it, but that gate's been bricked in.
Oh, okay.
So the little house is like a little house just sitting against a wall. The actual new gate is half a block down that way, and there's another one 2 blocks down that way.
Gotcha.
There we go. Now I have explained. Oh, definitely not a bot 6. Thank you for nuking that, Hellhounds.
So, Delilah's going to approach and knock on the door.
Yep. You hear running fairly young feet. And wait a minute! And then adult feet. Thunk, 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 thunk. And then the door opens, and there's a man standing at the door, and he's actively holding back a child with one hand, like keeping them from bolting out to see you. And he's really good at it. He's not even looking at it. It's just like, blah, 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 blah. Yes, can I help you? Sit. Oh, no, that's the dog. Be still. That's, yes.
Speaking of.
Hi.
Hi.
I saw your advertisement in the paper about the dog.
The dog. Looks down. Stacy, go in the other room. And he kind of gives her a tap, and she realizes he's basically said adult time now, and she looks at you and goes, hi, I miss my dog, and then just turns around and bolts. And he looks over.
This is a dog.
I'm so sorry. I really don't know how she got the advertisement into my broadsheet. What was it they promised?
They didn't promise anything, just looking for a dog.
Nice meal, I think. Something about we could come for dinner.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I can certainly get you some. I know some people at the because neither one of you are wearing an apron right now, right?
No.
Yeah, no.
I know some people at the Citadel. I could probably get you in for a meal there. And from down the hall, you hear a female voice say, "Who is it?" He turns around and says, "They're here about the dog." Oh, good. And another set of footsteps comes down the hall, and the adult female appears, and she just looks at him. And she's, why don't you go and work on your paper? You know you're no good with people, and starts sort of shuffling him down the hall. Oh, and feed your daughter. She's bloody starving. And as she turns to you and says, the dog. Honestly? Seriously, you're here about the dog?
Yes.
I can't. Well, my goodness. I think it's just run off into the port, if I'm honest.
Okay.
My
Do
husband,
that
of
a
course,
lot.
thinks it's dead.
I mean, let's not entertain that possibility just yet. There's hope. Um, yes, we wanted to help, but we realized we don't know what the dog looks like.
Oh, I've got a painting I've done. I'm a bit of an artist. Just one moment, and they turn around and walk away, and they come back, and I don't know what you're expecting. You tell me, Delilah, and like, what are you expecting when they're coming back with a picture that they've painted of a dog that you're about to go look for? Before you see the painting, what is your thought? It's in a nice little
Maybe
wooden
like,
frame. As they walk towards you, you can see the back of the frame. Like, they put some effort into the frame. I'll give you that much.
maybe like something you might find at a thrift store.
Okay, yeah,
I was thinking
Sid.
now that she said, I'm thinking like a plush velvet like picture of like a Bichon Frise or something.
Okay, yeah, yeah. In a
With the
hat playing
full
poker. Yeah.
well, no, with the full Gary Spivey Bichon afro.
With the whole, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely.
Well, in that case,
Part of me is afraid it's going to be a fucking kids painting.
well, all of those and chat, all of you are wrong. They they start to turn it, and then they kind of stop for a moment, realize what they're about to do, and then they kind of take the top and the bottom and do that thing where you turn it and you're watching your eyes, and if they see, they're going to do that if they don't like what they see. But they bring it around and bring it around, and the light sort of hits it a little bit. It is a watercolor, and it is exquisite. It is a basset hound, shaded, colored. You can see the light sparkling out of one eye. There's a little nick out of one ear. It's sitting there on one hip doing that weird bent spine basset hound thing with the tail sticking out. It's so well done. There's a sense of motion, like the tail was wagging when they painted it. It's exquisite.
Wow,
Sid's eyebrows raise. He doesn't say anything, but his eyebrows are just like,
that's lovely.
I used to teach painting.
we can tell. So I looks at Delilah. I guess there's not much room for interpretation. We're looking for a basset hound.
Yes, and as far as the fine meal, I don't know how fine it will be, but whether you find them or not, please come back here after, and I will absolutely provide you with the best dinner I can possibly make.
You know what?
And I'll make sure my husband stays in his study.
She like tries to stifle like a little chortle.
It's okay, dear. He's a prick. That's not why I married him.
Oh, all right. Yeah, so we'll do our best to find your dog and report back.
And she's looking
hopefully with the dog.
You can. I hope you can imagine just the disbelief and I don't understand. Two people are willing to go into an unknown place to look for my kid's dog for a meal. I don't get it. This is weird. Maybe they're gonna rob us later or something like that. It is so off the wall. But you can see her just looking at you with those mom eyes, and she sees no ill intent. And she says, "Well, before you go here," and runs down the hallway again and comes back with this literally a little picnic basket covered in the checkered cloth, and hands it to you. And she says, "It's not much. It's just some of my baking."
Oh, thank you.
And you can smell it. Like it's not fresh. It's not warm baked. That would be ridiculous. But it's today baked. Like you can still smell it, right? Yeah. And you can smell custards and creams and jams and all kinds of wondrous things that aren't just pastry in there.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.
And the whole thing weighs about as much as I was going to say a fart, but the whole basket weighs about as much as a basket and a cloth. Like it's going to be just ultra lightweight pastries.
Sid's like, I should have brought more tea.
Oh, I've got that too. Maybe when you get back, I have to save something.
All right. Well, we'll be back. Hopefully with good news.
Excellent, and I'll be here with dinner.
All right.
Oh, she's going to. I don't dare tell her in case you find. Well,
It'll be a surprise till then.
Good luck. And she kind of does that thing where she closes the door, but like this much, there's one eye peeking through. As you walk away, like she's waiting for you to disappear, like you can't be real. And then
Elves
finally
did it.
click. Yeah.
Delilah is going to turn to Sid, just be like, "What?
Odd.
Muffin?"
You
Sort of.
pull that cloth aside, and it looks like a bakery in here. Like it isn't just fluffy. Like there's 7 different kinds of dough, right? There's flaky pastries and puff pastries and jam busters and donuts and biscuits and croissants, and just it looks like someone has gone into a high-end bakery and just pillaged. And it's piled in here like the level of professionalism. Sorry, I'm hungry too. I'm gonna have to go get.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Tim Hortons after this. Oh, can you DoorDash Tim Hortons? I'll bet you
They'd be
fucking can.
closed.
But anyway, anyway, you completely forgot when I was. Oh yeah, the pastries, and in there they're just absolutely stunning. Now that you take the cloth off, all those smells come up. Everything's handmade, just exquisite.
Sid takes off his newsy hat that he's wearing. He just sort of like holds it to his chest as he like gingerly tries to figure out what he wants.
Yeah.
Like,
Delilah's like, "Well, if I'm gonna get in trouble, might as well have had a good meal before it."
So, given the range of all the pastries in the world, Sid, what do you take out of that basket? Here's some deep friggin' roleplay. We can do the cryy shit later. I want to know what Sid's favorite pastry is.
what is Sid's favorite pastry?
Delilah, you too. Whoever comes up with it first, just start talking.
A blackberry
Cinnamon
tart.
apple scone.
Cinnamon apple scone and a blackberry tart. Oh, just Sid, I'm going to ask you, Sid. They are that size, but they are potentially a 1-bite tart. 1 bite or 2. Civilized human being or shove that whole thing in there. You can smell it. Like
it's gonna be 2 bites, but they're going to be very quick bites after the first one.
Like you haven't swallowed. Yeah. Get the rest of that in there. Get in there. Delilah.
And when he finishes, he's like, "Good Lord."
Yeah, you kind of find yourself sucking your finger, even though it doesn't even taste like biscuit anymore. It's like it's gone. You're still you're sucking the memory.
Jam on the thumb. It's just like
you're sucking the memory of the jam off of your fingertip. Yeah. Delilah, what was it again? Cinnamon
apple scone.
Cinnamon apple scone. There is that. The apple, the chunks of apple are still vaguely warm. Maybe it's just in your head, but maybe it's just still
memory jam.
And you pick a memory jam, yeah, and you just pick it up, and no, it's a scone, so I'm not going to ask you 1 bite or 2. But are you how do you approach this scone? Let me put it that way.
Always corners first.
Yeah. Chomp.
And then you kind of get into the middle where the glaze has sort of become crispy.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And the outsides are crunchy, but the inside is still like bready.
Yeah.
And you get that. I think there's like an apple filling in it too.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
That's where the heat, that's where the warmth is. When you bite into it, it's
yeah.
like, oh, it just sort of settles across your tongue.
And then on the last bite, it's just one of those like, oh, last of a good thing, but okay. And then she like,
As you pop that last bit in and find yourself sucking your fingers as well, the two of you realize, without noticing it, you've stopped. You're just standing on the street a couple steps away from the gate, just blissed out from these pastries. Sort of.
Yeah. When Sid finally has a moment to like say something, he's like, I haven't had a blackberry tot since England. And he says that with all sincerity.
that
Didn't
was
know they even
probably.
still had them.
Gladys is not even gonna say anything because she can't beat that.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to.
And in that gathering evening gloom, you can still, I mean, you just ate it, so it's that where you go, and you can still smell it.
There's totally bits in his
Oh yeah,
mustache
in the
still.
stash, yeah,
So he
absolutely.
can absolutely still
Even if there
smell it.
isn't, you're kind of going, oh, I hope there is, I hope there is, I hope there is. Yeah, the two of you, you still got a whole basket of them, right?
They might last until the next session.
But from
Yeah.
just from on the other side of the port door, in the mid distance, not right on the other side of the door, but it's only a couple blocks. It's the remains of a port. You hear that the basset hound howl, and then you hear a couple seconds later a big whistle. I'm not going to do it because whistling into a mic is bad for the mic and it's bad for everybody with the headphones on. So fweep, a human, and then again, and then the whistle for the second time, and then all goes quiet. So somebody's called the dogs or the dog, and it's gone.
Oh boy.
And with that, but with it being 7:58 and all, we will drop the curtain on tonight. Whew. Humongous.
I love these kinds of episodes.
Oh,
They're always so good for development.
Character building episodes. We did it last week too, so this is really cool. This is what a long form game does. It gives you time to do this. So huge thank yous tonight to the two Bison _ Stonefist and Wayward Knight. Thank you both. That is a load. 3 people carrying 2 hours is a lot of work. So thank you both. We got to see both of these characters. We got to see them be sort of real human beings that were comfortable and uncomfortable and in good places and in power places and don't know what to do. And they're super believable. And the more we let you play them and interact with each other, the more believable they get. So amazing work, both of you. There wasn't many people in chat tonight, but I appreciate all of you. And the ones that weren't, when you're watching this on YouTube, boy, I'll bet you're glad you tuned into that one. That was an exceptional episode. Don't let anybody tell you that you need to have 4 or 5 players to have a good night, because you can damn well do it with 2, because we just did. So that's all the people in the chat and all the people in the YouTubes and all the players. So, with nothing more left to say except for the really important bit, until next time, please be nice to each other. Good night.
Have a good night.